Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Eternal Sonata playthrough. It is time to begin our journey through the Xylophone Tower. Full name, Xylophone Tower of the Shining Keys, and oh boy, this place is pretty epic and has a really fun little gimmick associated with it. So if we rush on forward and speak to this thing, it's called Trio, and yes, it's going to set us a little challenge. You can see in front of us there's a lovely keyboard, so to speak. It's less of a keyboard, it is more of a xylophone, because obviously it's set up like a xylophone, which is obviously a percussion instrument developed in antiquity that is struck by mallets. But the way that we're going to play this, I mean, it is also obviously like a... well, it's not even like a piano, really, is it? Because the way it's set up. Well, no, it is. Oh, I don't even know anymore. But yes, Trio is going to play a tune for us. We've got to replicate that tune. So this is the sort of call and answer type thing, the Simon Says, that you will have seen in many other games. But what's really quite awesome about this is that the tune that is being played is actually Frédéric Francois' Nocturne, which obviously we have already heard in the game. So if you are very much aware of how music works, then and also if you recognise that song, you should actually be able to do this really quite easily. And while I am okay with music in terms of notes, I would really struggle. So someone would go, ah, I would not be able to tell you what that note is, whereas other people would be able to. So this type of challenge becomes very much more a case of memorization for me, and I would assume for pretty much everybody else as well. But it is quite a fun thing to do. I would say that the stairs going up throughout the Xylophone Tower would be awesome, because I like going up these keys. I like the fact that they shine when we step on them. What I'm less keen on is the noise they make, because you've got a pretty awesome song playing throughout the background of the Xylophone Tower. It's pretty awesome. I love it. But the chime of the keys, oh my word, it gets grating after a while, because you've got to go up quite a few sets of these stairs, and it's, yeah, it's pretty interesting if you ask me. But even then, it's a really cool looking dungeon. And I like that this one does introduce something very different to everything that we faced before, because pretty much all of the dungeons have just been a find your way through it type dungeons. Obviously you had the hell of Fort Fermata, the strangeness of the cemetery, and also the puzzles of the Aria Temple. But I would say those are pretty much unique in how they do things, and this is just another very unique dungeon, and I do really appreciate that. Particularly as, obviously, so much of the game is focused around Chopin and his music, and it's really cool that in what is the definite penultimate dungeon of the game, we actually get to play some of Chopin's music ourselves, because it just feels right that we are able to do that in the game's closing chapters. Because it's sort of, in a weird way I suppose, bringing together everything that we have learned and giving us a resting place, so to speak, I suppose. I may be thinking far too much into that, but it's still just a fun thing to do either way. But yeah, we're going to be spending a while going up this tower because obviously we want to level up. Because, I mean, effectively at this point in time, you want to be... Oof. So, I would say that at this point, more than anything, you should be leveling up to take on the final boss of the game. Because we are rapidly reaching that end. And there are going to be a lot of enemies that do give you a lot of experience, which is brilliant. I think you only really need to be about, say, level 55, I feel, to properly take on the final boss. But that has no inkling on the optional dungeon, because you need to be a lot higher leveled to beat that. But yeah, at this point you want to kind of try and make sure you're leveling up, because some of these enemies can be difficult, and you are going to face quite a lot of bosses in the very near future. And I do mean very near future, because the final dungeon of the game does see you take on ludicrous number of bosses. It effectively becomes a sort of boss rush, in a way. There's just a lot of dungeon in between that boss rush. So you're certainly going to get the opportunity to level up. I'm probably going to go a little bit overboard in terms of my leveling. To be fair, at this point in the game, you will have probably figured out who your favourite characters are, and I would say that if you're going to do anything now, figure out who those characters are and just level them up. Because at no point for the rest of the game are you going to be forced to use anyone against your will, and so this would be the time where if you wanted to funnel the experience points into a few select characters, this would really be the time to do it, because as you'll see, what I end up having to face is that you end up going into a lot of battles in order to level people up. And we are actually going to see a lot of the battles that take place because, as I've said, pretty much everyone's levelling up every other battle, which can begin to feel perhaps a little bit excessive. And it's certainly making me think about the way that I edited this last stretch of parts. And while obviously I could totally choose to go back in, re-edit, re-render, re-commentate. It's just not how I work. I finish my job, move on to my next job, and if I'm in the middle of doing the latter job and I realise, oh, I maybe could have done that better, it's too late. Gotta keep moving forward. Because obviously, I'm a very busy bunny. I didn't have time to go back through some of these things. And also, I'm kind of solving puzzles again after a very long time because I've been playing Layton's Mystery Journey recently and having an absolutely delightful time with it. Because obviously it's Layton and it's amazing. So I've been having a bit of a new game binge, which I hadn't had for a while, and yes, unfortunately, Eternal Sonata commentary, re-editing. Need to get on with doing the actual commentary, because then also I have other responsibilities, i.e. Ghiblithon and other Hellfire Comms commentaries. It's taking up a lot of time at the present moment in my life, because this is the kind of stuff that I sign myself up for. Even when that's probably not the smartest of moves I could have possibly done. But there we go. Anyway, here we have a quartet. So you can probably figure out how this is beginning to work. Because we've got trio, we've got quartet. I'm assuming when we get to the next floor it's going to be quintet, but yes. So we have to play through this song again, but this time we get more of it. Thankfully, at this point, the keys do light up as aids, so really it should help you in remembering the things. I would say just note it down, because there's enough time to kind of get that in there. Whereas what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to go from memory, and I don't have the best short-term memory in the world. Like, I would say I am far better with long-term memory. Like, there are a lot of things where years later I've still been able to remember something, but then I can't remember what I had for tea like the other day. So, you see, memory's a weird thing. I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but hey! Tangents are the spice of life. Yeah, I can't even remember what I had for tea the other day. Obviously, that's not an important thing to remember, but I mean, if, like, you were trying to be healthy, trying to write, like, a food diary or something, and you forgot to do it one day, and you got further down, and you're just like, wait, what did I eat? And then you're just like, oh, buggery hell, because you can't remember. That's basically me. So, I don't know why my brain was just like, yes, I'm gonna try and do this from memory, because I should be able to do that. I mean, really I should, because I like a bit of music, and effectively all this is learning the tune. And I can do that, because I can learn how to sing songs, and I can learn how to play them on instruments. So I don't know why I was finding this so slightly challenging. But I think it's because it presents it in a different format. Because when I'm learning a piece of music, I tend to go, like, play it over and over and over and over and over again. So, I kind of do little bits at a time. Well, sort of, not necessarily, it depends on the thing. It's like when I'm learning a song, I'll listen to it many times, then I'll start to try and sing along to it with the words in front of me, keep doing that for a little while, and then after numerous repetitions, the song's then stuck in my head because I'm able to, and because I've been learning the words along with how the song sounds, I'm able to kind of match the two together, and that's why it sticks. So that's why, very often, a new song that's come out, I've probably learnt it in about a day, potentially, because sometimes what happens is that I just listen to them on loop for a couple of days, and then, yeah, it's there. It's like, when I first heard Waving Through a Window from Dear Evan Hansen, that was one of those songs where it was just like, I can't stop listening to this, this is amazing. And then the next thing you know, I'm just like, I've learned to slam on the brake before I even turn the key, and so on and so forth. It's the same with Jump Up Superstar from Super Mario Odyssey. Like, obviously heard that in the trailer, and it's just like, oh, I love this, I need to learn this. And now I'm just like, here we go, off the rails, don't you know, it's time to raise our sails. It's freedom like you never knew, and so on and so forth. Obviously, it's still sometimes difficult to sing or play a piece of music without something giving you a little hint as you go along. It's why, like, I always prefer having a little bit of backing music whenever I'm having to sing a song, because one, it helps keep you in tune and in key, but also it just sounds so much better. So you just tend to stick with it. And also you can see right now that I'm just like, I probably should be giving Polka the levels, but really at this point she's not in the best positions to be fighting, and that is pretty much going to remain the same for most of the game, to be fair. You'll see come the end of the game who will be my final boss team, because it might not be who you would necessarily think of at first. But
let's keep moving forward.
Obviously there's a while yet before we get to that point. A long while yet before we get to that point. But I tend to choose my teams, as you've probably seen by this point, on how effective are they in battle and also what's narratively appropriate. And ultimately, the choice that I'm going to make is entirely narratively appropriate. So, it'll all work out in the end. But yeah, as I said, we have got quite a ways to go before then. I mean, basically, the next... ooh, let's see. So, we're on part 37 right now. Next part is dungeoning. The part after that is, if I recall correctly, getting to the next dungeon. Then we have a lovely 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts of dungeoning, and then we've got another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parts of dungeoning. So effectively, I mean, obviously, most of the parts in this playthrough have been dungeoning, to be fair. Because obviously the way Eternal Sonata sets itself up is that you go through numerous dungeons in each chapter, and obviously they make up the meat and bones, so to speak, of Eternal Sonata's gameplay. So it makes sense, but it's just that, yeah, these the last two, they're just very long, because they're multi-floor behemoths, and do just take up a lot of time. But we are reaching the twilight stages of Eternal Sonata now, because yeah, in about 7 parts time, if you just want to go on and beat the game, you can do so. So the point of no return comes in about 7 parts time. But we've only got, yeah, another 15 parts or so, which I know sounds like quite a lot, and to be fair, it is, especially considering the subject matter, but we are really, really close to the end of the game, and that just makes me really happy. I'm probably going to say this again, and I might have said it very early on in the playthrough as well, but I had wanted to do Eternal Sonata as a playthrough for such a long time. I mean, if you look back to, part of me wants to say my first channel introduction? It was either my first or my second. And I have a feeling that it may have also featured in my first YouTube anniversary video, because with that I did like a where I've been, where I'm gonna go. So I've wanted to do it for a stupidly long amount of time. And there was a period where I did actually start recording it. And I can't remember quite when that was. I'm pretty damn sure it was in me Dazzle days, so you can tell how long ago that was now. And I think it might have been around the time that I had tried to do Prince of Persia 2008, because that occurred at the same time, and I think I was planning on uploading it to Hellfire playthroughs or something, but then the quality wasn't good enough, and then me and Tom had a falling out at the time. But honestly, I cannot remember. But I know that I did start to record it, and I have a feeling I want to say to the Glissando Cliffs in whichever chapter that was. I think it's chapter 2. And then I just stopped. And for the life of me, I can't remember why. I can't remember whether it was... Back into a nebulous dream. It was my first time through the game, and I wanted to capture it, but then it was just quite a long title, and I just couldn't... I just thought, you know what, I just want to play through the game by myself now. It could have also just been that I'd beaten the game the once, but I wanted to complete the certain something else that I'd never done before, and I got so far and I thought, you know what, actually no, I do want to do that thing, but that's going to take me time. Honestly, I can't remember why I stopped doing that recording, but I'm glad that I did, because it's meant that all these years later, when I've finally got to return to it, I've been able to do it in much higher quality. And also, actually, that my commentary, for the most part, even though, you know, there are times when I've been incredibly daft and slightly losing my marbles, because that's always what I do towards the end of a JRPG playthrough. I'm glad that this game's got to feature some of my better quality of commentary than my very, very, very early days. Yeah, Quintet here's a bit of a dick, because he only shows you the final 4 notes. So you've got to have memorised the first string. Now come on, can I get this in one go? Hey, you see, I did learn. But now that that trial is complete, let's continue on our journey up to the next floor of the Xylophone Tower, and hopefully we can sort stuff out up there.